All right, so today we're going to talk about belts and how to utilize them and kind of structurally what's their purpose. I always love going to gyms and seeing how people use these. Because a lot of times you'll see guys with belts, they'll have them wrapped around, and then you'll see like their tape recorder on the inside. So they're using like a utility belt, which is not at all how it's supposed to be used. So the idea of the belt is that we are going to stabilize, especially in any type of barbell weightlifting, we're going to stabilize between rib cage and pelvis. If you picture your torso as being a cylinder, what you want to do is just like if you have a pop bottle that's very stable along the outside and shake it up, it increases the amount of tension. And so what we want to do with this is we're using an external stabilization. We line this up across the belly button because we want this actually at the soft part of the stomach for weightlifting purposes. We're going to exhale, shrink wrap the abdomen, tighten the belt up across. Then from here, inhale and push the air down so the diaphragm tightens up. It's going to tighten the belt up naturally. On these belts, on these Olympic weightlifting belts, you can hook them through and then give a little extra tension there. But they sit nice right between ribcage and pelvis, support the low back, but more importantly, when you tighten up, you get a nice, tense abdominal wall between them. So for weightlifting, deadlifts, hang cleans, Olympic lifting or powerlifting, these belts are excellent. Doing squats, things like that, they're going to stabilize the back, especially when you start getting up towards your 1 rep maxes. For kettlebell lifting, it's a little different. Kettlebell lifting, you're going to use a slightly different belt. So these belts are nice and thick. They're 3-ply. And part of that is because it's going to give you a shelf to settle on your hips. You're using these belts because now in kettlebell lifting, you're not really stabilizing the back. You really want to stabilize the pelvis. So when you're lifting a barbell, that barbell sets across the shoulders and you have to transfer the energy through your torso. Well, in kettlebell lifting, that energy actually goes from the bell through the forearm, into the elbow, into the hip. So the back is out of it. And actually, when you get into a racked position, that low back is relaxed. So this, we line it up along the hips. We get it pretty tight so that it provides a little stability for the pelvis and the sacro-iliac joint. So it kind of compresses that joint right here, so it's significantly lower. And then we can rest the elbows right into the hips. So that now it helps give us a shelf of where our hips are at. It supports where the pressure is actually going to be on the body. And so there's a significant difference. Like here, you don't want the belt at your hip joint if you're doing squats and things like that, because you're going to have trouble sitting back into that squat or the deadlifts. It's going to bunch up in the hip flexors. But for most of our lifting, when we're doing jerks in kettlebell sport, you're setting into it and you're setting the hips back. There's not much of a hip crease, and you can allow those elbows to just rest right at the hips. So that's the difference when you're lining up a belt for kettlebell sport and one for just overall weightlifting. Thanks.